Plasma products now available at store.keshefoundation.org. Plasma liquid hand soap, antiseptic, moisturizing for well-being. One Soul Plasma T-shirt, balanced chakras with ancient and plasma technology. Visit store.keshefoundation.org for these and other plasma products.
From the beginning of time, humans have always looked towards the sky for inspiration and guidance. There has been a fascination with birds, stars, gods, goddesses, and other entities which seem to exist above us, and for many humans, a strong yearning to travel into space. Man has dreamt of flight since observing space, and now it is time to become the space traveller. The future of space travel requires us to understand from where we came, to see where we are going.
Several thousand years ago, philosophers Mozi and Lu Ban from China were looking to the wind for flight. They invented kites using silk and bamboo, allowing for the later development of communication, measuring distances, testing the wind, and lifting men.
The invention of the kite brought with it the desire to fly. The first known attempts at flight were typically by leaping off towers, known as tower jumping. People in China, India, and Europe first attempted flight this way.
In 1670, Francesco Lana de Tarzi published a book that showed some interesting concepts. The concept of copper foil in a sphere with a vacuum would produce a vacuum airship. This is still not possible with today's materials. Francesco is recognized as the father of aeronautics, melding science and mathematics into aerial navigation.
The Chinese are believed to have developed the first hot air device. The Chinese lantern, using hot air from a candle, can take flight and was first used for signalling. The hot air balloon achieved the first human lift and advanced to what we know of as the Zeppelin.
The first attempts at flight in a heavier-than-air flying machine were made by more than just the Wright brothers. Most attempts failed. However, they were the stepping stones for what was to come later. The oldest airport, College Park, is still in operation today.
Airplanes evolved rapidly through the century, from propeller to helicopter to jet aircraft, and most of that technology is used today.
During the Second World War, Germany developed rockets that could go a limited distance. The basic rocket technology used then is still used today. The space race started with the Soviet Union and the USA in 1957 and led to many developments for the next step, the moon.
The spacecraft assigned as Apollo 11 was the first spacecraft to have landed on the Moon. The space shuttle operated at tremendous cost. Burning the fuel proved to be wasteful and dangerous technology. The International Space Station, ISS, is a habitable artificial satellite that was assembled in low Earth orbit in 1998 with the use of the space shuttle. The ISS can often be seen with the naked eye from Earth.
SpaceX, as a private aerospace producer and space transportation services company, was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs and enabling the colonization of Mars. SpaceX reuses the first stage of their primary rocket, Falcon 9, by vertical propulsive landings. Although, up to present time, it still uses the rocket fuel burning technology. Mehran Keshe has always said, the time for burning fuels is over, but did we need to start with that technology in the first place?
Ancient cultures have suggested the use of an alternative means of transportation. With reference to possible plasma technology,
you can go to New York from Brussels within 2 to 5 minutes. And most of this 5 minutes is actually landing and getting up.
Mehran Tavakkoli Keshe was born in Iran in 1958. As the son of an X-ray engineer, he was introduced to the world of radiation and nuclear science at a very young age. In 1981, he graduated from Queen Mary, the University of London, as a nuclear engineer specialized in reactor technology system control. At that time, he developed a number of theoretical ideas related to more simple nuclear concepts and their applications. In 2002, he decided to finish the full design of his ideas about nuclear technology. This included the creation and control of gravity and energy by the use of nuclear materials in a clean and safe hydrogen reactor. Mehran Keshe introduced the concept of double magnetic fields to explain the magnetic and gravitational field of Earth.
Unknown by the existing scientific community, he wrote a number of scientific papers in 2004 and sent them for peer review, such as the creation of black holes. When one of the persons performing the peer review used his information in public, he decided to draw back his papers and to concentrate further on building prototypes.
Since the beginning of 2006, several prototypes of dynamic reactors have been built, some specifically designed to create hovering effects, similar to effects seen with magnetic levitation. Basic hovering effects have been achieved. 2007 brought the first flight test with radioactive material, in which the patents describe the process of the field interactions.
The main patent, Gravitational and Energy System, described the initial fundamental aspects of the plasma and uses. This was followed by the supplemental patent, Microplasma Reactors, where further uses and advancements were described. Mr. Keshe found himself in Iran in 2008 and was provided all the resources needed to create the first lift of a plasma reactor managed by the Iranian government. These special rotating gas reactors were used to control the plasma. To bring a deeper understanding, Mr. Keshe released the first book in 2009, The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, which contained many new concepts released to the public. This included the PMTIC plasma magnetic fields, initial fundamental plasma and plasma dilution technology used for space reactors. The plasma technology was further developed and it manifested in weight fluctuation in a controlled environment. 2010 introduced a new state of matter called GANS, an acronym for gas in nanosolid state. The GANS produces fields to be used in the operation of the spaceship. Advanced flight tests were performed in Iran with the guidance of Mr. Keshe and the newly designed systems.
Mr. Keshe tells us you can't bring all the doctors with you in space. Medical research advanced in 2010 and is still being explored daily all around the world. The Keshe Foundation has provided knowledge for dealing with many medical conditions in space.
A great example of plasma technology used for peaceful process is the capturing of the USA drone over Iran in December 2011. This drone was touted as one of the most advanced drones of its day and was caught by Iran using plasma to disrupt the communications. Plasma absorbs fields, and the drone uses radio fields for piloting, a natural aspect of the plasma, a barrier of fields.
Book 2, The Structure of the Light, was released in 2011. This book brought forward the understanding of the structure of light as a cylindrical plasma where the light is in possession of all magnetic field strengths. Book 3, The Origin of the Universe, was published later in 2011. Mr. Keshe explained the further operation and interaction of different strengths of the same fields, which then leads to the creation of the universe. These 3 books bring forward a much deeper understanding of the plasma science that is applied worldwide by knowledge seekers and scientists in spaceship research and development.
There were 2 conferences to release the space technology to governments in 2012. The first international presentation in April, Keshe Foundation invited representatives of every country to the first presentation of the plasma technology. The second international presentation in September, Keshe Foundation invited the nations of the world through their ambassadors and their leaders to attend a gathering at the Keshe Foundation Center in Nenove, Belgium.
Space travel requires peace. The implementation of the plasma technology brings greater responsibility. In 2013, Mr. Keshe brought forward the World Peace Treaty. Signing of the peace treaty is a confirmation from yourself to your soul to act correctly in a peaceful manner.
In 2014, knowledge seekers came together from around the world to learn from Mr. Keshe, and many different experiments with reactors were performed, including improving the previously developed reactors to fit with the new knowledge, introduction of nano-coated reactors, multi-core GaN systems. The Spaceship Institute lab experiments were streamed live on the internet for all to see. SSI lab tests with reactors showed strong magnetic field pulses up to 129 Tesla and showed significant weight fluctuations. In December, an experiment was performed using reactors built by knowledge seekers from around the world. Italy, Germany, and Canada were involved in field communication tests. The tests showed that fields can interact with each other no matter the distance or time, resulting in instant communication.
In 2015, developments for space continued with different aspects of the plasma technology, such as in health, energy, and decontamination. In October of 2015, Mr. Keshe taught a popular week-long course called the Blueprint Teachings about how to build the MAGRAV power units. People from all over the world participated with building their own MAGRAV units and teaching others. With the demand of the Keshe Foundation products from all over the world, a new research center and manufacturing opened in Arizona, USA. Many developments of the technology happened in different parts of the world, and Keshe Foundation USA is no exception. John and the team started performing experiments using different sensing tools. These tools allowed the team to visualize the MAGRAV fields and to show others their interactions. With reactor formations showing positive results, partaking in the knowledge together is easier and more joyful than ever. The fun has just begun, says MT Keshe.
Mr. Keshe publicly teaches the space technology through the weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. Plasma enthusiasts from around the world participate in gathering the knowledge and putting the puzzle together in the space race. All people, irrespective of race, nation or religion, are invited to participate in the exchange of knowledge, thus assisting humanity to live within the ethos of the universe. It is recognized that international cooperation and peace is a prerequisite for mankind to journey into deep space. Individuals and nations are invited to come together in the spirit of collaboration and unity to enable peaceful application and the use of plasma technology for space travel, food, agriculture, energy, transportation, health, and more. We are excited to release the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Blueprint to humanity.
Welcome, everyone, to the 228th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, June 14th, 2018. I'm your host, Rick Crammond, and once again, we will be with Mr. M.T. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, who has been leading these workshops for the last 227 Knowledge Seekers Workshops. And I'm sure with the world events going on and the events going on behind the scenes with the Keshe Foundation, there's plenty to talk about today, as well as the usual teachings that we get on the knowledge of the plasma technology. So we welcome once again Mr. Keshe. I think he's available. Are you there, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Good day to you as usual. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers teaching. As Rick said, there is a lot happening, a lot of good news in many directions for us and for humanity, and many, in a way, news is to become future news for what this development will bring. We hear later on from John, Arizona, they have reached a milestone in the whole program of space technology. What we said some times ago, if you remember, today is the 14th, is the second month, which we have challenged anyone who would like to test it. We know 2, 3 groups who are at it. John always stayed as part of the Keshe Foundation Research Center open, and he's very proud, and we are proud with him that to manage to show step-by-step development. If you remember, initially they could feel it, they could feel the fields in walking in months ago, and then they came into it and they start feeling it by touching it on the blueprint day. And last month they could actually have a shape of it, they could understand it, and they explain what they got. But this week they have crossed a major point, major cross point, that they can show it physically. It's very little, but we'll come to it when we start talking. We invite John in to explain more, and this is the beginning of the space race. This time can be seen. It's not just a talk. I'll explain to it once we come to it. There are a couple of points which I think we have to address. One is, as we said, on 23rd of last month, our appeal against the verdict of the court was heard, and one case was dropped and the rest is carried forward as we wanted it to the higher court in Belgium. And we have launched our appeal, and we'll wait to see the process of courts, how they go and the way they go. The whole thing, judgment was on a procedural basis, not on the judgment or verdict, if the procedure was followed. So in one case, we have seen there is something very strange and interesting. As we've seen, Belgians are up again to their fraud and deception and crooked jobs. There is something that's been appearing on the internet. It says Hof van Broek, Ghent, and then it says arrest. This is the High Court, or what you call it, the Middle Court of Ghent. Arrest in Flemish, in this case, means verdict, not the arrest. And these people know, so, but the other people don't know this, and they think, oh, it's now he's gonna arrest it. This is a cheat and deception these people of this nation are up to, and they cannot stop. So if you call the court and say, what does it mean? They said, this is a verdict. In this court, they use this Flemish word as a means of verdict, not the arrest. And we've seen this deception still going on, but we have, and we will submit documents now, as we said, which literally brings the rest of the police officers in Belgium court. And we are looking forward in a full direct interface with the European Court of Justice. We will release our defense publicly this time. This time, when we release our defense to the High Court, because from now on, we are taking the whole Belgian structure up as a fraud, deception, intimidation, fraud by the police, intimidation by the police, falsifying and producing documents which gives people the wrong intention and information, very much like the way they've done now. Arrest means verdict. But you will see, we'll come with it. We kept very quiet for 2 years. We stood everything. And now we open the hand of the fraud and deception inside the police structure of the Belgium. How they intimidated and what they did, and how they have falsified papers. They have literally produced papers and it's only with them, but we have a copy of it. We have the original copy that it shows the Belgian police and Belgian structure and the court are all nothing but deception organization, fraud, murder squad. I'm very strong about this because when we released the papers, you remember what I did with the biggest thief of the scientific organization, we called him, and he's now dead. We published a paper from the organization that it showed that they will keep the book, the paper in the library, and we published the original paper from them, and now they said they lost it. Now we release a piece of paper which brings arrest for the police officers within the Belgian police and within the structure of the government of Belgium and court and even judges. You'll be surprised, I don't make claims if I cannot back it, but will back it. It's a hard copy paper that we have received and it's in our possession, which shows every crooked job a nation could come up with to get hold of a scientist and its technology. Those who sit in Antwerp, you are part of it. We'll see you, we send you a drink for you. You need a long term to go back onto it. There is a clear collusion, clear collusion and deception by the police of Belgium. And they are so stupid that they left it in a hard copy. You remember when they arrested me exactly? In 2010-11 in Canada, and they left their documents behind them and we published it. Now we released a paper from the Belgian police, a forged paper signed by the police officer who's taken verdict from everybody. So the whole procedure, we were waiting for this to come to this level. Now the Court of Belgium and the European Court of Justice has to verdict how police in Belgium produces fake papers and then they go around with it intimidating people. So, as I said, arrest in the verdict, they have put it all over Facebook and everything. Just call the court, they tell you it means the verdict of this court for centuries has been announced as arrest, which means what the verdict is going to set. Now, we come to another point, and that is the situation in North Korea. As we spoke before, we are nation of peace lovers, as one nation, one planet. And strange enough, we've seen the handshake, we've seen the walk away of one president from the other, and we've seen one president traveling all the way halfway around the world to meet a president near home, and in signing an agreement which has no agreement, but in a way we have some, as we've seen the North Korean president and the American president. I wish I could tell you what I know, but for national security and what we see in the background, this is not a good handshake. This is not to the benefit. This is, and we go openly with it, then by being openness, they know we explain the situation. If you remember, the president on the right hand side, President Trump, was trumped out of the G20 in the corner. The decision was made that he will come and meet the North Korean president on the territories which is a strongly supporter of China. And as you know, by law of politics, the defeater always goes to see the winner. As you've seen, has been the tradition. The kings who fall walk to the present king and ask for mercy for their life. But nowadays it's more political. The losers try to put face on it. Most powerful man in the world does not travel more or less all the way around the world to meet his biggest enemy, which does not agree with. This explains a lot of things. This shows pure power of China, and the pure power of President Xi. His Excellency has played the game correctly in trying to bring, but this has a very bad tail on it if it goes the way they planned it. The plan is more or less that now North Korea will walk away, and as the supporter of North Korea, America can blame China for supporting it and start this next cycle of wars with Iran and Chinese and the rest of it. But we advise the Chinese government very strongly, in a way, keep the pressure on North Korea and do not let go. And this will see the process going through. This is part of what was planned, and Chinese president playing very correct will follow it through. But our warning is North Korea will walk away from this agreement, which gives an excuse for Americans to play the game what they wanted. But now everybody is on guard. We are aware of the move, and we have made it public to the Chinese leadership that be very much on your guard. This is two friends shaking hand, then blaming another person. It's very much like when you sit in the row of people, and then the guy next to you hits the guy on the other side, and the guy thinks it's you and he hits you hard back. So, but this time, this guy in the middle will not be China. We'll disclose this later on. So, um, as you understand, as we teach you, the old way of diplomacy, the defeater, the one who's been defeated, goes all the way to accept the submission. In a way, North Korean president is the submission to the success of the Chinese leadership, and we see the defeater. And if you look in the next following pictures which comes up, the North Korean president walks away, not the American, because in a way the defeater is trying to keep face. So we've seen another step towards peace, but we want the Chinese government strongly to keep an eye on the whole situation, that does not use as a backfire. And as we know, as we said, North Korea will not be used as a Cuba of 1960s with American and 1950s situation we built up to it. It's got to be wisdom in this, and has to be kept very, very close tight observation of. On the other hand, uh, as it's been all of our wishes that we see peace, in the way as is our all wishes will turn up to be, even the deception and roads will turn up to be good for. There is a, we've seen that a name has appeared as part of the victims of the Keshe Foundation new name. Mr. Uh, Benjamin Mensa has been appearing as another victim. He is not a victim. He has walked himself into a corner. Nothing to do with the Keshe Foundation. We respect him. We still have our respect for him. He's made a very bad decision in working within the Keshe Foundation structuring in Ghana. And then now that he's been what do you mean, caught by the police, he has made all sorts of accusation. But we pray for his soul. He's served the foundation well, and he's made a tactical mistake, and we hope he stays out of any kind of custody or prison. We still give him all our support. We kept it quiet last time we explained somebody is there, but we've seen his name appearing as a victim. If he's a victim, he's reported himself. We did not do anything wrong. We just asked for the properties of the foundation to be declared where they are, and then he walked himself into more or less hand of the police.
Excuse me, Mr. Keshe, there's a problem with the audio is too low and people are not able to hear. I'm not sure how we can correct that.
They hear clearly, don't worry. Every time we announce something that doesn't suit people, they say they don't hear. They hear clearly. Because we listen to recordings.
It's going
okay,
down
please.
more and more, Mr.
No,
Keshe.
that's it. That's the problem with your end only. On the other hand, it is very clear that we do not get involved in this matter. Foundation has stayed out of this matter, and we keep switch your microphones off, please. And we respect the work he's done for the foundation. He has walked himself to a corner without us. We are there to support him. All the support of the foundation is there, but we stay away because it's something which he's done nothing to do with us or action of the foundation or anything. We don't belong to anybody. So we hope he finds a solution for it himself, and he puts the matters right by himself. And even if he tries to put the matter right, the extent he's taken it is going to damage him in a way. He's always welcome back to the arms of the foundation. We respect his opinion and work, but he has to sort this matter out on himself, not with the foundation. Now, as I said, we come to the works of the what we call our work as a spaceship program, as a spaceship organization. And as we've seen, can we have John in the background, please? If he is there, that he can come in, because I know it's late times for them in
I'm here.
US. Hi, John.
Hi.
What I'm going to do, thank you very much. Um, John, would you like to tell us your past 1 month development and then take us through the video which you think is not enough there to see? Then I'll give you support to see where you have to go in your work. Before John comes on, the Chinese space program is on course, and we will go, as we said, for our tests and trials. And as we said, we work and we inform directly the Chinese armed forces and what we call military, as we are in the territory testing, and all our work obeys and obeys all the rules of the Chinese government. I thank the Keshe Foundation team is working relentlessly in 2-3 different groups, trying to bring everything together, that the test flight and test production will be on course. Especially the team work very closely. Our designers are the people who are in manufacturing, the people who are supporting it in every means, financially and other ways, and also producing different materials of it. The Keshe Foundation team across China in 2-3 groups are developing everything ready for this flight test. Their names has been cleared by the military that they can work with us. We've given all the details, and we thank all the authorities behind who are monitoring and controlling everything for us, and our team, especially those close to the foundation, who are making sure that this test will take place. It's a beautiful system. It's an amazing system. It does everything which we promised from the beginning. But as we said, it's not a race against Chinese or Americans. We are one family. Americans are developing their own side. It's not just Americans, actually. There are people of Asian background in the team there, as we see, and from South America. It's very much international. And Arman has got his finger, as usually, everywhere in Arizona. So in a way, as he says, it's a collective work by all of us. And because of our position and work, where we are testing the what we call the advanced version of the system, we have given, and we have to respect the authorities of the Chinese government for every test we do and every loading we do. So in that ground, if John would like to tell us what you've done since last month, or if any other group is busy with this process.
Okay, so I'm here. Is my voice good?
Can we change the picture of the losers to the winners, please, Rick?
Yes, sure.
So in Arizona, we're doing a number of different tests. Primarily right now, we have 3 starship formations that we're focusing on. We have some other tests going on beyond that, but these 3 main starship formations are what we're really putting most of our efforts in to we think that they're going to bring us the fruits of our labor. 2 days ago, or actually how we count today, let's say 2 days ago, we attempted to identify the light that happens when between 2 starship formations that we weren't able to see with a naked eye, but we could feel that there was fields nonetheless that were were there. We felt them with our hands, and it was clear that the fields were there, but we couldn't see anything. So we put together what we call a wand, and this wand is a device that has on the end of it a ball of magnetic energy or magnetic GANs, very strong magnetic GANs, so that we were able to interact with the two different reactors that we had, one a weaker and one a stronger, that were feeding each other back and forth, if you will.
John, would you like me to show that now, or were you going to share it?
No, I want you to share it. You can pull it up in the background, but I don't want you to actually play it till I can talk about it a little bit.
Sure, yep.
So we had these two reactors, one of them a stronger starship formation, one of them a weaker, the weaker feeding this, or the stronger feeding the weaker, and vice versa. So what you're going to see in these two videos is very, I'll call it, in a way, amateurish video. We turned off all the lights in the facility, and what we were attempting to do is to see the fields of the light. And we tried the same test in a darker environment, and in a darker environment, it didn't come out as good because everything was just basically dark. So what you have to do when you see this video is to look very closely at the tip of the wand, which contains this magnetic field. And when we were standing in front of it, what we saw, and it was clear to us when we were seeing it, was these what I call wisps of energy. In other words, it was like smoke between the two. Not real heavy, just ever so slightly. In some of the video, I think if you pay close attention, you can see it also. So go ahead and play the first one and let's see how it looks. Okay, we're here in Arizona, and I have this little device here. We turned off the lights, but this has very high magnetical and is spinning very quickly. And I want you to see what happens when we put it into the fields, and it's ever so slightly. So Julian, watch the very tip of the ball as I put it into these fields. Okay. Okay, can you see that? Can you see it on the camera?
No, not on camera.
It's ever so slightly right on the tip of the ball. Right there. See that? Right on the tip of the ball. Can you see it? Probably not showing up too good on the camera. Magnetical field. So down the bottom of the gravitational field is where we saw. Can you see that? You can see it on my side.
Yeah, I think I see.
Not sure how it's going to come out on the camera.
Yeah, I can see it in camera. But...
Okay. All right. Okay. So the second video, what we did is we noticed that the background wasn't really conducive to getting a clear picture. So we put another white background behind it and tried it again. So Rick, if you pull up that second video. Okay, we're going again because that picture didn't come out real good. Let's see if we can get a better picture with a white background. Right there. Go on the top, Julian, so you can see the dark. Right. Can you see it coming off the top? Is that a glare? You see just a ghostly image right there? Right there. Oh, you see that? Like a smoke? You see that smoke coming off?
Yeah, I can see. Around the ball.
You have to be out of the field, Paul. Paul, don't lean into the field. Yes, I can. Oh, there was some sparks, some smoke coming off of it. Okay. Sorry about the quality of the video. I don't know how it. It's pretty hard to see, but when you're standing in front of it, you can see it. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Okay, John, let's go step by step. This new tool which you made is a double core or a single core motor?
Single core magnetic only, just one ball.
What do you mean by magnetical? Can you explain?
We put basically the same material that's in the top core, the tritium that's very heavy magnetical, and we filled it up to the top, and so it's all tritium.
But bigger, higher ratio.
It's the whole ball is filled up. It's a 30 millimeter ball.
Yeah. Okay, what have you learned from this, or what you observed?
Well, we learned that it interacts with the gravitational field, but not so much the magnetic field, and it didn't interact in the center area where the field plasma is going. But it was clear to see that the two fields, the two units, are starting to interact with each other. This is after 5 days of running. So both of these two machines, these setups have been running for 5 days with only a change of batteries in between them.
How they loaded? Which one is much stronger loaded, the right one or the left one?
The left one is stronger. Probably.
You see the light more towards.
Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me. The right one with the balls, the bigger unit, is the stronger one. Yeah.
So you see the light on the weaker one on the left-hand side more, or somewhere in between the two?
We saw it in between the two.
Yeah. Okay, if you remember a few weeks ago, I asked you to make this motor, stick it on, fill it up and stick it on. This is the better version, plasma version of the buzzer, which John has been showing us for nearly a year or two, going everywhere and buzzing everywhere. It says the field is this far. With the buzzer, he could show us the dimension of the matter conversion of the field to strength, and it used to create a current. Now, with this system, if we understand it, is at the lower part. The reason for is the lower part of the disk, just on where the three reactors are on the base reactors, is this is where most of the fields are. And what is we should learn from this is, if we create a stronger field in any of the two sets, the system will light up. Now, if you go all the way around the system and see if you see the light. At the moment, the system is interacting between the Earth gravitational magnetic field and the system, what we call the mother system, or one of the two systems against each other. So what we said from the beginning, we feel it, and then we'll see the light. If you remember, for years I've been telling you, for the first time we start seeing the shimmers. So in a way, the strength of the fields in the bottom layer are there, but not strong enough. And when you put a stronger field, which is inside of the single core, which he uses as a detection unit, gives you confirmation of the theory and what we said from the beginning. The next step for this shimmering, if John finds a way to load up heavier fields, then you will see this light all the way around. You don't need to look. This is part of the development understanding. So it's not that why it's not done. John has gone systematically through the whole system. Now, when we add the third matter, the third stronger field in, because don't forget this one is much stronger than the other two and very much concentrated, you start seeing the rubbing. The smoke, he calls it, magnetic field conversion. And so conversion of matter fields into matter state, but still in the gaseous state. So this, for the first time, if they can even show it more in a fine another the recording system, that it can show the different kind of lights, then you will see it totally. Now we understand we are on the verge of a breakthrough. We have managed to convert matter into plasma, and then conversion of the plasma into field strength, that it becomes a plasma of itself, and when the strength is right, it manifests itself in the whole structure. So for the first time we've seen the fainted light, and this will grow bigger and bigger. Now it shows John has to increase his loading. The loading has to go a step up. The loading has to become heavier, more energetic, and in so many ways we are on the next phase. What we're going to see, hopefully, if John can carry this, then we see the next step. One of the ways to expand or strengthen the fields is to reduce the top number 4 reactor down. You suppress the donut, and the donut will squeak. Like, you know, when you have a donut in your hand and then you squeak it and the cream comes out, you can't do that. And then you see, by reducing the height of the top core, you squeeze the donut. The bottom 3 are very strong, so they will not bend, and the only thing is left, the field flow will increase. You can do the reduction in the height of the 2 by together simultaneously, or make the one to fly. If you get it right and you push it a bit too far in the pressurizing of the plasma, your system will fly. Will not go through the transition of the matter state. System will create its own gravitational field as an open space system, will take shape and take flight. This is very, very, at this moment, not there. I don't see it to my experience, but There's a possibility, it depends how John and his team change the mixture. Mixture is weak, but you're getting there. You have to strengthen your field. Watch if there are any gas material around in the room, because they'll be draining from your system. So whatever you built, you're feeding them. So you need to watch that too. But congratulations, John, and your team. This is another breakthrough for development of the technology. Try to increase the strength of your bottom cores, not necessarily top core, but you can do the top core by distance. In a way, you bring the blade closer instead of taking the knife closer. Bring the blade down, bring the top space lower, and see if you can see the light easier. Then your next step is the compression and what I call backflush of the fields of the top core. If reaches before the gravitational field is created, will give you the spaceship or the shimmer of the spaceship. You will see initially light, but you still can see all your cores and everything inside. You're dead on. If you don't play outside like past few months and get back to where you are and target, focus on it, most probably you show us more by next 4 weeks.
Can I share one other video now that you mentioned that it appears to, well, I'd like to share one more video and get your comments on it, because we have a case of missing GANs from another reactor, and it may be because it's in the general vicinity. But let's have you take a look at it, if you don't mind.
I've seen the video, I know what you're talking about, but before you show it, I'll show it and then I'll ask you the question. This is what I wanted to ask you when I saw the video.
Rick, are you pulling it up? Hello, Rick.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to. Did you send it to me through mail or the same way?
Same way.
Okay, I'll have to check on that. Hang on.
It was a third video. I sent it right after you sent the acknowledgement. So this will be our stationary reactors with no motors, and we filled them all the way up to the top. And for some reason, one of the gravitational reactors on the bottom, one of the three, started losing all of its material, and it doesn't have a leak or anything. It just all the material just say vanished. The other two reactors seem to have a lot of I'll call it pressure, where they're actually leaking after so much time. It may be a problem with our glue and the acids reacting with the glue. But this one reactor, I'd like to take a look, have you take a look at it and see if maybe what's happening is these other.
It's not up yet. We don't see it.
Yeah, I can't see any additional message, John. The last message I got from you had regarding videos, and it had the 2 links to the 2 videos. And that's all I see in that message. And that's the last one I got.
All right, somehow you didn't get it. Okay, so let me pull it up.
Okay.
Hold on a second, I get in the background. And with me 1 second. I'm trying to find. I believe it was. Yeah, it's this. Okay, so let me go back and share my screen. Am I allowed to share, Rick?
I believe so. Give it a try there.
Okay, can you see that?
Something's coming through. Yes, we see the video.
Okay, so what I'm talking about is this front ball right here. This is the water line, if you will, or the GANS line, halfway. And they were all filled up to approximately like this level up here on the top magnetic ball. So let's play it real quick.
There's no sound.
There's no sound. So nobody, you can't hear that?
You'll have to share your
select,
computer audio.
Okay.
Share computer audio. Check the little box.
Where's that box at now?
When you go to the share screen,
Yes.
then there should be a little checkbox to share computer audio.
Whereabouts is it?
Before you select the item on your share screen, where you have all the items to select, there should be a box.
You know what? Let me just talk you through it, because there's not really a lot of sound that you need to hear. Let me talk you through it. Okay, it'll be the easiest. Okay, so this is where you see this ball right here. It just lost all of its material. We had it filled. So nothing down here. It looks like it's almost compressed in the center ball. Now this ball, you can see a leak here, and it's lost that much material, and it's actually dripping down here and leaking. It's also leaking just a little bit over here. And you see it's kind of corroded some of our beads. And top ball's good.
Are these cores sealed or is it a twisted one?
The coils
or they have threads?
Say that again?
Are these cores, outside cores, thread on them? You tighten them with threads?
These, no, they have these little, I call them the Armin connectors.
No, he's talking about the cores, the plastic.
They're Christmas ornaments that you put together.
They're glued together.
Okay, one of the things, the problems with this glued system is you got to watch is sometimes it works if you use what you call it, 2 different composite glues than a normal
the
glue.
epoxy, you mean?
Yeah, epoxy. You need it because sometimes it works much better. But there's one question I want to ask you. The one which is empty more than the other two,
yes,
which way is it facing towards other reactors, other two which you were setting up?
So if I looked at this picture, the other 2 reactors are directly to the left over here on this side. But about 20 feet away.
20 feet away?
Yes.
And is the other core in the same direction? The opposite side must be, because they're online.
Yeah, these two are basically facing the other reactors, which are over here 20 feet away.
Okay. And all three are, the one which has got less off, which is not leaking, is this one.
This one. And it
But you
doesn't
see,
appear to be leaking at all. Maybe this little thing, I don't know, could have been one drop.
yeah, but we got to see how, what it is. These things can happen, or you have a hole that it evaporates through. Maybe
Possibly.
try to seal it again and see.
Yeah. Okay.
We cannot. There's when you see that mark on the table, it could be evaporation, but it could be at the same time very slow. And yeah, it goes on the top. Touch the ball and see if it is what do you call it? Any stains on it. Before I forget something, it's very important because our Chinese Keshe Foundation supporters have been waiting for it. Keshe Foundation.cn has opened up this week, back up again, and is running. So the Chinese friends who are looking for the website to come back up, the system is up and running, it's back on the line, and it's been translated by pages. They'll be filled up in the next few weeks as they work on it. But you can go on the Keshe Foundation.cn and find the Chinese page, which has been missing now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. John, what is important for a lot of our people is how you manage to create what we call tritium, or you call it magnetically strong. A lot of people are trying to produce it and they're running into problem, and then they're trying to produce H2. They're running into a problem. They're calling each other, says, how do you make it? I don't understand. So could you explain to us how you make it? But I give a warning, does not mean two things. This is the only way to do it. And secondly, does not mean it's 100% H3. This is what John has done, and
Okay, so
we can go to a step further that we have seen the light today, so he could be on the right path. He's on the right path. So if you could teach us and share knowledge how you make HOH3 that people can understand, please.
okay, so I'm going to share with them the part of the golden trick.
Now we become magicians.
Yeah. So let me see. I got this in the background, and excuse me. Let me get the right screens up here.
Would it take long?
No, I got it right here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that we did that I think is very important is when we went through, and you can go back and look at the video that we shared back with the spaceship configuration, where we showed how we made the H3, where we pulled the carbon out of, or disassociated it from.
This is the mystery we are asking for.
I'm sorry?
How did you pull it out?
Well, we disassociated it from the CH3. So the carbon.
I know. Well, this is the trick. We want to know how.
Okay, so the trick of how is we we put it in a CO2 container with, just like we're making CO2. Let's just say that this box here, for example, is a CO2. We put a copper plate, a nano-coated copper plate, and a zinc plate over here, and we put this in salt water, and we put our CH3 in the middle of this container.
What you mean container of the CH3? You mean?
No, this would be.
The liquid itself, you just poured it in?
No, we put it in a glass jar, and we put it in the center, and we hooked it up to the sides so that it sat in the center in the water as the CO2 was being made. And then we covered the top with a glass container so that the fields were sealed in. So as this was making CO2, we were disassociating the carbon and the hydrogen in this glass jar in the center. Is that clear?
Could you
Listening.
annotate that on the whiteboard?
Let's try.
When you share your screen, the top row has the whiteboard option.
Which one is the whiteboard? I see the annotate.
Just hit New Share. Whiteboard's on the top row.
Next to your green.
Escape. Yeah, close the annotate right now. There you go.
And which one was the pen?
You have it. Just start drawing.
Okay. All right, so here's our CO2 box. Nano-coated copper. Zinc plate. And we put this, rather than a plastic box, we put it in a glass container. So this is in a glass container. Then we put our container of CH3. Sorry for the sloppy handwriting. I'm not an expert at this. So that's hanging in this container. And the water level's like right here. Okay. And we let it sit for about 3 weeks in this container. And then we'll pull it out. And one of the things that we do in addition to it, but it's not necessary for everybody because they don't have the same tools we have. But we add, before we even start, we bubble in HHO into this container of CH3. So we call it a hydrogenated CH3. And I showed pictures before of our hydrogenator, if you will. But if you don't have one of those, don't think that you can't do it, because this I think will also get you to where you can make the hydrogen gas. So now what you're doing is you're disassociating the carbon from the hydrogen in this container. So you still have carbon in here, and you still have H3 in here, but they're not necessarily linked together. And that's how we make it. Now, what we do when we're making our hydrogen is we'll take this same material, because we also believe that what's in here also is that this isn't necessarily all H3. It's also, because we hydrogenated it with HHO, it also contains H2, some degree of H2. and some degree of H.
How did you make the H2? How do you guess it's a H2 and how do you guess it's a H?
So we put a hydrogenator in there, and the hydrogenator bubbles in H2. In other words, it's like what do you call it? Atomic hydrogen. So what we're doing is we're bubbling in atomic hydrogen into here.
You mean molecular hydrogen? Atomic would be H, right?
I don't know what you call it. It's the same stuff that you use to power your to run your cars on water.
Hydrogen gas, basically, right?
Yeah, like a hydrogen gas.
But not the HHO.
I believe it's an HHO, hydrogen gas. That's what I've been told it was.
Would it be possible that once you made the H3 and you now add your H3 to a mixture of water and mixture of, let's say, gas water of CO2, and creating again between the two plates, create a condition that you produce hydrogen, and in conjunction with a carbon you can produce deuterium, where let me write it, I explain. There is a possibility that if you take this hydrogen, where am I not being able to do? What? No, it's here. Okay, if you take this hydrogen here, this H3 here, and take it to another box where you have a copper and zinc, and sorry, if I take it here and put it back in another composition of salt, different salt than this salt, different composition, and you allow H3, which you added at the bottom, to interact with a new copper, which this copper, if you seal the top, sorry, it needs carbon, that if you close the top, will allow this extra carbon which is in there, and you have a H3 which you have there, to this time extract additional what do you call, oxygen from the atmosphere without a cap, and then you will get a H2O and CO2, and what is left over will be additional hydrogen, which should be a different color material inside, using a pure water and or a salt water which is different density than the outside. You still get your CO2 from the oxygen which is getting pulled from the water to create the CO2 in conjunction with the carbon, and at that point whatever is coming as an amino acid which is different than outside allows you to create a water, and then you should get a pure hydrogen.
Okay.
This CO2, it's because it's all plasmatic. You're knowing you don't go into the matter state, then allows you to create what you call H2O plus high. The only way you can see it is very, very slow, is this marking of the water to see if the water level rises. This needs a special understanding of it, because when you connect your plates, you got to make sure you have a what I call resistive load, and then or you can, it works usually with resistive load. Just a piece of copper wire connecting the two, but not of the same line. You never, when you produce material, you never connect this to this. Anybody who does this, you will find out you actually produce what you call different product, and it's not a CO2. And uh, the production of the um, you might see pure hydrogen at the bottom, which this conversion is very rapid. You might see a change of color, and you see the color changes are very, very, very rapid in this process. The When you connect the two wires, two plates with one wire, you are not using um, what you call um, use a chemical reaction, even though it looks exactly the same. But what it looks like when you do a direct connection, most of you'll find out you might get two types of ganses separation. But when you create a separation, because now it has to go through what you call it, interface of the wire, then you create a different environment. There is something which is very interesting, a number of points you have to remember, maybe over years of doing this kind of nano making and gas making has slipped your mind, is that the reason we use salt is not only because of the planetary condition, uh, but salt has a very typical common denominator with, if you look at it, can lead to, or can lead to near enough going towards chloric acid. Those of you who find mixture of gases in it, it means you most probably have connected directly. You've gone into the battery operation. And, sorry, you go into the battery operation. Where here, you go through salt condition. This is what life on this planet depends on. And if you understand this process, you can use the salt to literally release yourself with a lot of things and create yourself a lot of whatever you need. It's two different processes. One is gravitational process, one is magnetical process. NaOH is a gravitational process, where what we call NaCl, or we're going towards a chloric acid, is magnetical, because you release a lot of energy. And if we understand this process, we can literally use it to our advantage to create condition of H2, H and H3. None of you plays with this. I've seen one or two people very early stages played with this and they left it because they couldn't understand. So if you change your salinity and you feed in H3, or bring what H3 you think you produced into a new environment, now you can decide on the salinity or alkalineness, or if you connect the lines to be acid condition, then you go through matter state. Then if you go to the sodium, you go through the plasma state, or what we call cycle of life. This is the difference in the whole understanding and the work of what you see has been done. Is that when you uh, use NH, you go, sorry, when you use sodium, you go into the cycle of life. When you go into the chlor or acidic, is when you energize life. And then when you go into the direction of the hydrogen, is you feed life. This is why we see, if we understand this process, as John is trying to explain, and understand the process of creation on this planet, it's exactly the same. Our body decides and plays, does it work with different salts, which in a way dictates the gravitational. How much am I going to hold on? That's why we have magnesium salts in our body or different salts in our body. Is how much am I going to hold on energy to? And then when it comes, when it goes to chlorine decides how much of it I'm prepared to share. And when it comes to the hydrogen, is what I'm supplying. And if we understand this and bring it into production of the hydrogen, H2, or tritium, you'll find out in the dynamic course which John showed us, there's a continuous conversion between these. It's not as I have only H3, but um, in the cores, especially when you reach what I call the donut position, H3 converts to D and D converts to H, and then vice versa. And you decide in the coming time, as we become more expert in these kind of space flight tests, we use only one material, as John has done. But condition of the giving and the speed of the conversion decides if the material goes to H3 and then goes to H2. And then if we can contain the H2, we achieve a diamond structure of H2, which is then it gives us the physical structure. When you look at the what we call the skin of the man in the 3-layer, the manifestation of the physicality and how it appears is on the middle layer. You have eczema, you have skin deformation. It's not done, even though so this is disturbed, this has to respond to it. This carries 2 layers of emotion, or in fact, if you look at it, it carries 3 souls of its own. And then when this soul gets disturbed, the balance of the soul changes, you see a skin infection, eczema. And then you go inside the body where the salt comes to it with the liquid, it becomes asthma. When you bring eczema in a liquid condition that it can grow, you get what we call, what is known as asthma. But in fact, if you go, there's a company in Europe which makes, I think they stopped trading. I heard something, I don't know, I'm not sure yet. What they do, they are specialized, they have understood the effect of the salt in the middle layer. So if you get your middle layer disturbed emotionally or by salt, you get a skin deformation. The skin deformation doesn't come just because of the top, it comes because of the salt change in the middle. So it becomes releaser of emotion, or attracting or supporting or holding on to, so the skin changes, we see. If you understand this and bring it into this part and understanding this process, then when it comes to your star formation reactors, you got to see which one you need to change to create the Chris or physicality.
That's very good information. Can I ask a question about the LED? Would you recommend that we put an LED on every single GANS kit that we make then?
I done that. I always do.
Okay, because we were only using for the CO2 GANs.
No, I use LED for everything because it's a balancer, and if you understand the work of the plasma, is actually very much, it works as a diet. But in the flow traffic from the magnetical to gravitational, and it can change vice versa.
Okay, and then
So, pardon?
I saw a very interesting presentation by Lauren in Rick's reactor group 2 weeks ago, where he was talking about this very subject of the salt, and his comment was that he showed this graph where on one side of the graph it brought in certain ions, and the other side it brought in radioactive ions, I call it. And when you had the two of them together, it seemed like they would feed off each other. And the comment was brought up about using sodium and potassium salts in your boxes. So you talked about the sodium and the chlorine. Would the potassium be even a better choice here than the chlorine?
Yeah, you see, if you go back to some of the teachings years ago, I refer to, and sometimes some of the knowledge seekers who walk around me, they say, I use potassium. I buy potassium salt. And the reason I use potassium salt is not only conversion, but is the property of the potassium, which changes its configuration in the process. And if you use potassium in your what you call nano coating stage, so you create a condition in your ganses for production of certain field strength, which can support you in the space flight system. This goes back to understanding of the nuclear structure, nuclear field, magnetic field, in the interaction between proton and neutron.
Exactly, that's what he was bringing up, this is good.
Pardon?
This is good information. And maybe
I don't know.
So you're talking about the isotopes then of
the isotopes, yeah,
of potassium, for example?
Yes, isotopes, but at the same time, it's not just isotopes, because now you're working in a gans state of matter, so you're working in field condition, not matter condition anymore. I specifically go and purchase potassium salt. And it's not easy sometimes to get, because we had to wait to get it delivered. And what do you call it? But if you go too far with it, it can have other, what do you call it? Other properties which might not be needed. But if you look at the body of the man, we have many salts in our body. And the ratio of salinity between each one and amongst the same itself creates different tissue thickness, different muscle strands. And this is something which a lot of you overlook, but if you understand it and go through the process, you in a way, the knowledge of man is not that deep yet to understand his own structure, but the salinity change between the 2 salts or 3 salts and several salts in the body allows different hardness of the muscle tissue. And if you have a very, very strong salt condition, you get a bone structure. Calcium salt, which leads to the creation of calcium itself, and then it gets deposited as it is of this character.
So this also opens up the scenario of the GANs that you talked about so many times, where we can now, within the single GANs, have it become more dynamic by the salts that we use?
Yes. I think you understood.
Very good. Very good.
Okay.
This is Moshfegh. Sorry. I have some comments or questions about these GANs of GANs. I have produced tritium and hydrogen using GANs and GANs method, and I can show it. And it's very similar to what Mr. Keshe was talking about a moment back about making hydrogen. So I've tried this.
Can we have a look?
Okay, I'll use my camera.
Wait.
Okay.
John, you have to stop sharing. Okay, carry on.
Stopped.
Now you got to
start.
Yes.
So these are, as you can see, this is using GANs of, here I'm creating tritium from CH3, and the two vials on the sides are carbon GANs, 2-to-1 ratio. And at the bottom, you can see that there is CO2 deposit, and the top is sealed, as you can see. So, and I think it is tritium, and its color is distinct from CH3. And on the left, I have a similar situation with carbon GANs and deuterium GANs together. So it's creating a CH2 field at the bottom. And it's the same sample of CH3 I'm using on both sides, and you can see a significant color difference. I can also have a reference CH3, which is again different from either of the two. And anyway, so this is how I produced the two, and you can see the deposit at the bottom of this, which is a mix, sort of a light version of deuterium. This is a mixture of it's a CO2 and deuterium, and here is just a CO2. So this is what I use to do it.
How do you produce your CO2 GANs?
Here I have a carbon here and double carbon here. So it's a carbon field in the middle, carbon GANs. So this is how the mass ratio is 2-to-1.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And you have a copper wire inside or something? Or
no, there is no copper wire, nothing.
It's relying on the field transfer.
Right.
It's literally what it does is uses the GAN. This is how you make if you remember the fruit cocktail. So he's using mass ratio of the same matter. And inside he creates a carbon level graphite. And so he attracts the field from the CH3 out of the container through the boundary of the container. Actually, the paper on the top is just a gimmick because he's draining the carbon from inside.
There is one thing I've noticed is that I have to use glass. Plastic does not work very well. I tried it earlier. So glass makes a huge difference.
For both inside and outside.
Yeah, everything is glass here.
Yeah, that's very nice. This is there is extension version to this because I've seen, and if
I'll stop sharing.
It's okay, no problem. If you understand the potential of the interaction of the salts, you can do a lot of things. Salinity rates has not been understood by any of the students, but salinity rate, and especially what kind of salinity you use, gives you a massive weapon in space technology. In the future, as the man extends into the life of creation, and then we become masters of it. By change of salinity and composition of different salts, we can create this a few years, maybe a couple of years ago. I referred to this and nobody noticed, so we moved on. But maybe some of you can go back and visit on, as John said, adding potassium, but you cannot do too much of potassium because it gives you different structure composition, which at this moment in most cases we don't need. Anything else you like to add, John?
Can I share one more?
Moshfaq, can you switch your microphone up, please? Carry on, please. Are you sharing?
Okay, can you see?
Yes, carry on.
Okay, so one of the things that we're also looking for in our hydrogen is what we call or in this case, our tritium. It is called a diamond structure. And the diamond structure comes from the carbon, and it comes in the form of crystals. So what we do is we put these our tritium out in the sun, and here in Arizona our sun is very high, so you can see it forms these white crystals. Now some people will say that they're salt crystals, some people will say that they're sodium crystals. They may well be, you know, a little bit of all of it, but they're also nanocarbon crystals.
Do you know how to test it?
So the way we test it is if it dissolves in water, it's salt, and if it holds its structure, it's carbon or sodium crystals. But we actually try to grow these crystals a little bit. So
and what do you use them for?
We put it in our mixture. This would be crushed up and become our tritium, including
so
the salt
these
around
crystals, they are your tritium?
Yes.
Or the orange dust?
Both. All of it.
Now I'm going to give you a bad news.
Okay.
I'll give you a test news. You know these crystals you separate, the clear one?
Yes.
You said they don't dissolve in the water.
Some do, some don't.
Okay, the one who don't do. If you get and go back to the old time of the diamond testing, if you scratch it on the glass or on a mirror, see if it scratches the glass or the mirror.
Well, I imagine they haven't grown to that degree where they're strong enough.
One single cell can do.
Yeah.
Then it gives you, if you have managed to achieve crystal structure in a diamond way in the matter state. These are simple tests we've spoken about before. So if you separate these and then you see the scratches the glass, because in a liquid state you could not catch them, then you have produced diamond structure. And then this is 100% H2. It's very hard for H3 to make crystal of itself because of its composition. But H2 can. Because if you look at the H2 structure, it's in a way, if you put 6 of it together, it gives you 1 carbon cell. That's why H2 becomes and can become what you see as a salt, as crystals. So if you be a bit ambitious and take it a step further, you can grow these what you call salt pieces because they don't dissolve. to about 5 to 10 carats diamonds. There's a specific way to do it, to grow it, and you can cover these. You let them grow in the liquid state, and when they dry, they take a bigger shape. I've made bigger size. I was speaking before. You have to use a specific configuration to pull the plasma apart, to extend it into a diamond structure. And then you can make 10, 20 carats of diamonds. And the only way you do, when you diamond test it, it tells you it's diamond, that's the only way you can do. Or when you scratch a mirror on it and it gets a scratch, if it doesn't get scratched, it means you haven't got there. And with the smallest thing, it makes a specific noise, and you can cut the mirror with it. You see the scratch on it. But
so even though we don't have the big crystals, don't we have nano carbon structure? That
you haven't, you could have, but it's not a carbon structure. The ones which dissolve, usually the ones which dissolve come out of Hc3. CH3 there, it gives you the characteristics of the energy, but in general you are producing, if you test it, hot water test it, the best way to test this crystal is not in the cold water, you do it in the hot water, and you still see that there, now it means you have created the diamond structure. Then if the second thing is, if you're a diamond tester, you just go on and it goes and it goes into the line, it tells you you have a diamond, or you allow it to grow and have a biggest diamond in the world on your finger. That is incredible. So what you actually create most of the time, majority of the time, these crystals you collect is carbon structure. It's a H2 diamond structure, which in fact, due to the composition of the H2, it becomes diamond. It behaves crystal structure of the diamond.
Yeah, we have
And
some of those with the H2 also. We made some of those.
But you have to know how to use it. If you use it in the right way, especially in your space technology, it can give you it can give you a lot of advantages. A lot of advantages in especially in your space program. I wish I could have released book number 4. So many of you would have been so many years ahead. Book number 4 is not released. And I said I'll release the book number 4 in due course. And there is no Kingdom of Belgium, book 4 will be published. And till then, it'll stay out of the books. This book, if those who could read it, I've explained fully how to actually make the space reactors. Because book number 5 goes into direction of depth of the magnetic field. Book number 6 is how to run an operation of the space reactors. Partially is written, book number 6 is partially complete. So you need the book number 4 to be able to understand how to make the spaceship lower, what you call it, movement. So how do you make H?
For making hydrogen, what we do is we put it in, we take the CH3, this CH3 that we pulled the carbon out of, and we put it into Coke bottles with pieces of plastic. And
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there because I want to teach you something. I think it's time. You will understand it.
Teach
but
us
you
all.
have to understand. Yeah, you got to understand. John, you're right on top of it, but That's a gift to you if you understand what I'm talking about. Can I have a white screen, please? Can somebody give me a white screen? Nope. John, you gotta stop sharing.
I did.
Thank you very much. You spoke about, where is my pen? I cannot, oh, I cannot. Okay, there we go. You speak about, this is going back to the physics theory. I have to finish in exactly 58 minutes. I have to go urgent. Please remind me in exactly 38 minutes to go. You see, you explained, you put a nano coated copper, you put the zinc in, you put your H3 in, yeah? And in this H3, you did something, what is there because of the fields, and you have created, sorry, CH3, you created H3. Then you speak about, or I spoke about, or a lot of you speak about doing the next step to create a H2 from H3. Have you understood nuclear physics construction?
I'm not an expert.
You gotta be an expert. Come on, John. You've been long enough here. You're the old man of this game, and you played more than anybody else.
I've played a lot.
Sometimes it's got to be the right play.
Okay.
Look at what you have achieved. What do we call? What do we call a tritium? Tritium is one electron what you have extra in H3. Anyone?
One neutron.
Voila. Voila. Do you remember in my teachings I always explained, when a man reaches to understand how to use a neutron, then man opens the space.
I remember.
Now, when you move from H3 to H2, where does this neutron go? Or in a plasmatic condition, where does the energy of the neutron goes? Only one man has managed to reach this space, and he has not understood it, and is still puzzled. If you can change, or if you understood, or if you can understand a system, or you can develop a system where you can always remember you have ganses of these materials, you don't have the physical matter of these materials. If you can capture this energy, the third entity, extra neutron, you have created neutron reactor. Depth of universe is yours.
And that's where we get into oxygen as being the magnetic for the universe. True.
Don't forget, you repeat the same process again when you go to hydrogen. Huh? What is hydrogen? One electron, one proton, and you speak about it so freely. But again, what is missing here? Where does the energy go? One more neutron. So, if you understood everything which you all spoke about, and everybody speaks about, if you put your H2 and your H3 and your hydrogen, what do you get? GaNs of neutron. This is the space.
Are you saying add them all together? I missed something.
I hope it's recorded. You haven't missed anything. You haven't understood what I explained.
Say it again in different language.
Okay, I speak in the layman language. You remember when you put a copper and copper, what did you get? GaNs of the copper.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Now, what happened when you put GaNs of hydrogen, GaNs of tritium, and GaNs of deuterium? What is the balance in it? They all have this in, so what is left to give? 2 neutron, 1 neutron, no neutron. Do you understand?
Are you saying put them in a salt environment?
Da-da-da-da,
Okay,
da-da-da-da.
I got it now then.
They got it now. So if you go, you came to the point of producing CH3 and you cannot strengthen your system. Yeah?
Yes.
Means your ganses are not powerful enough. When you put a more mass into it, that's all it is. It's a 2-liter engine. You cannot get a 4-liter engine out of it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes if you take the fuel out and adjust your carburetor and whatever, you can get maybe 3 or 4 out of it. This is how, if you understand how to do it the correct way, you understand you have the capability to produce GaNs of neutron, and then you can use it as a space fuel. Then the speed beyond the speed of light, imagination of man can be achieved. Go back to my teaching very past few years. Always said the point of maturity of space travel comes when man knows how to use neutron. Because it doesn't divide anymore itself, but it shares power of highest order. You can start stripping it. With other ganses, you always have diminishing ratio. When you have a neutron, you don't. It's the mother, is the essence. So whatever it splits to, it pulls back to. So those of you who are going, the space level with this knowledge moves one step closer to space flight. I said, you move, I teach. We saw Mashwak bringing something out, but he doesn't understand, but he understood part of it. We see all of you keep on speaking. I made H3, I made H2, I make hydrogen. And when I tell you what you make, you don't know. Now, if you have, you say you made H2, which is in the crystal condition, and you made H3, go back to copper and zinc, one is nanocoated. The only nano element left individually in this set is what? Nitrogen. Sorry, neutron. And this neutron gas does not mix with, it cannot be oxidized. But you have to find a way to hold it. And you have to find a way that you can use it in the space reactors. That's a million years of research and development in the space. You got it in one sentence, if you understand it. Don't forget, I'm a nuclear physicist. And I know the inside the structure of the plasma and a nucleus. So if your knowledge if your space reactor needs to go a step up, you're looking for nearly the ultimate fuel. This is how to make it. Why did you manage to create copper oxide or zinc oxide when you had a nano coating of the same, which is a metal? Now, gameplay is the same. You have 1 nano cell free. Now that we've seen the light, we go one step up. But there are other ways, without going through this process, if you don't understand, that you can produce continuous release of what you call neutron.
That's a lot of good information you shared with us today.
I'm here to teach when you're ready to listen. This is why you cannot see, you cannot push your dimension beyond. At the bottom 3 reactors, you're pulling apart the tritium. But some of it in escaping becomes H2, and then it gets energy from the outside, it goes back to H3. And when you put that H3 directly in the center high speed, you actually create, if you look at it, this condition. And then you still have partially these two in it. So if you can produce neutron plasma, understand what you're doing, there's a specific way, I'm sure some of you will grasp it very quickly, then you are more, when you put this in your system, then you see the lights in the easier way.
Would you call that neutron plasma magnetical?
Neutron plasma is neutral and it interacts according to its planet. It turns over itself because it has no connection.
Okay.
Do you remember we talked about Einstein, who never understood through his mathematical work? He called it a funny thing. When he said one atom turns, the other one turns, or one polarity turns, the other one turns. And he couldn't understand it. To him was funny because he didn't have a knowledge of physics in a way. This neutron plays the game. You have to be able to control it, that it stays North Pole, South Pole, as you want to call it, in the direction you want, and then you change it to South Pole, North Pole, and then you land. Playing the game with a what do you call it, neutron, is very dangerous if you don't know how to open the space of it. But you don't need more than 2 or 3 neutrons to create huge lifts, massive, millions of tons. In most of the planetary system, total maybe 1 or 2 grams of it in the center of the planet.
I was reading today that the density of neutrons is, if there was a cubic centimeter, it would weigh billions of tons just in the matter state that they talk about as scientists.
Yeah, because it creates its own gravitational field, a magnetical field. So the next step in the game of space, I know John now starts playing, we won't see him for 4 weeks, he'll be playing to make things, is how to make that neutron free. But in your talks today, you said it, but you didn't understand. Now maybe it brings back in light a lot of things. So if you can make the gas of neutron, we enter the space technology in true essence. But there are other ways to do it.
Mr. Keshe, this is Mosfek. I have a question. So deuterium is the fuel and tritium and hydrogen dictates the ratio, which way the neutron will be going, magnetical or gravitational. Am I correct?
Not really. You're still going back to the matter state, try to understand field transaction. If you want to play the game of what I call space technology with the heavy gravitational magnetical, you play this game. Now you have two neutron balancing. That's the field of it, but you have to convert it into the Gans state of it. If you play this game, then you have a single. Or the next door to it, which is a hydrogen and stereo. Again, you have a single. But these neutrons are totally different from each other. What you get from the hydrogen balance, but don't forget these are in a plasmatic condition. And then if you can make a Gans of it, you have to go to the same process of loading that you create the field of neutron. And this gives you key to the universe. I told you, I take man to space to be equal to the others, not to superior order. Not when you see the suddenly the property of neutron, you just go crazy and becomes perfect. Understand the process. Understand what I explained. Understand the energy transfer connection is on the plasmatic condition here, is not by putting a light up and trying to use it. This process dictates the condition of the use of nano-coated materials. Because that's the only way energy plasmatic flows through. The matter state of it, if you look at it, the copper state does not allow anything. The gap of the nano layers would allow the field, and depends how you pressed it, you keep the strength to it, and then you have to have a plasmatic system that it balances the two. In a way, if you put two cores next to each other connected, you get the same. I've done this in if you look at the structure in the Sensano. I covered it this way, but many people haven't seen it. They don't understand it. If we understand this, any question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We do have.
We stick to the space technology if it is. There is a message here if some of you understand. Happy birthday to those who are the mothers today.
That are the mothers today?
Today. And now, if you look at this structure, and you cannot control the neutron, or you deliberately allow the neutron to play its game to open up, then you become the creator. Because it's the energy balance of the, what you call conversion, which decides this is going to be the energy level of hydrogen, or energy level of copper or gold. So, according to the environment you create for the neutron, single neutron converts itself to any elements in the universe. Which means the environmental condition decides the splitting. Then when it wants to convert to matter according to the split of the energy, it takes 2 electrons and protons, and then conversion of some allows, in interaction with the environment, dictating energies which we call the neutron energy to be solidified and convert itself to the matter state of that element. So out of 1 neutron, you can build any entity in the universe, any matter state, but you have to understand how you open it up and how you allow it to be done. Because don't forget, your neutron, the size of it, the energy it carries, is dictated by central line of the galaxy, universe. So its size has all the properties of all the elements within the universe from where it started to here. There are much more heavier elements which man is not aware of it, and we become more and more aware of them as we break into the barriers towards the central line, what we call the principal line matter of the universe. The hydrogen, the gold, and whatever we see are very weak elements, because it's there at the boundaries of the what you call the galaxies and the universe. But as we progress and we go more towards the central line of the plasma of the neutron of this universe, you'll see new matters, and this is how it works. If you go back in some of the teaching, I explained that what they call fusion technology is a dream and is not something will never happen. Now you understand the conversion of the plasma to matter state. So fusion is nothing but loads of because physicists wrote some papers. The conversion of elements comes from the transformation of the plasma into matter state, not from fusion. And if you understand it, a single neutron can become any element, or if you handle it the right way that you can open it up, it can behave as a galaxy or a universe itself. Now you understand what's the next step to build the proper space system. Now all the ones of you who are building these space reactors are back to the drawing board. But a lot of you understand there is nothing ahead of the Chinese or the Americans or the other groups which are testing. Now the new game starts, and this is a final game more or less for all of you to step up. And remember what I said in conversion of the energies and fields. Am I clear, John?
Gave us a lot of good information today. I think we'll be able to move forward in new and different ways.
You showed us the light, we showed the path.
Speaking of light, Lawrence says in the chat, Mr. Keshe just opened a window looking at the Creator, let there be light. And he had his hand up earlier and had a question. Maybe he had something to add to this, because he understands, I think, the what's being discussed. Perhaps we can hear from Lawrence. Do you want to go ahead there, Lawrence?
Hello, good morning.
If you could speak up a bit so we could hear you.
Just about 10 minutes to go. I have to stop.
Thank you for reminding us, Mr. Keshe.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I don't think I can really add anything to this present topic. It's a great gift, and we have to ponder on it. I wanted to just go back to the topic of the salts and the potassium and the sodium, because as far as I understand, they create different sizes of these hexagonal structures, the crystal lattice, when creating the nano coating. And their interaction on the matter level, the beta rays, just like the sun and the earth, which create the free plasma, the bird that flies in and forth. And through that interaction, they create the same interaction on the level of the copper or the nano copper, which will then also have this creation of free plasma in their own layers due to the different crystal lattice sizes, the different shapes of hexagons that the nanostructures create. And I believe we have the same system or the same principle applied here with the H3, the H2, where the sun and the earth create interaction with each other, the two trees which let the bird fly, and then we create an environment for the bird to settle down, become a gans. And to add to the knowledge or to share my understanding, when we look at the different ganses with the different colors, we should consider each of them due to the hexagonal structure like a little prism, you know, where the white light goes through the prism and it gets separated into different colors. Depending on the lattice of the gans, we will see different colors absorbed. And it's basically different, it's like different bath tube drains feeding each other through the different sizes of these crystal lattices that create the gradient of the plasma. And for the generation of stars, when we want to have a spaceship, stars usually are children of different universes. So when we want to have a spaceship, we need the seed, which we've been talking about right now, this light of the creator, which expands in its appropriate environment to behave as a neutron. And from the other side, we are feeding, so everyone, the whole universe, but all the universes are feeding and sharing their free plasmatic fields. It's that's what I wanted to add. I hope I'm appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. What you got to understand, in the future, mankind will understand the teaching of today, how we brought man into a very advanced level of space technology. Those who don't understand, they just think, oh, there's another piece. But in time, when man matures to understand the teaching, then they understand maybe this was a gift today that changes the course of humanity in space development. I have, as we say, pondered on this for a long time. Is man ready to carry this knowledge, or would man ever be ready? But as we see, some of the mankind's man have understood and made that difference. And as I said always, you make the move, I teach you. And in so many of you have started moving, very few of you have understood how to move. And this comes to this point as we are now today, that we have to, what I call, add to the knowledge, that the knowledge from now on leads to one direction, and that is to take man into space. A lot of you have and will have a problem with this knowledge today, because it's meaningless to a lot of you, because you have not understood the process of space travel. But to those who understand now, or those of you who understand in the future, will understand this is the biggest gift I could give you. The fuel of universe. The way the universe works. The way the space becomes oyster for man. To what I call atom, he came to atom, to nucleus, and the molecular to atom, and now nucleus, and then I brought you into energy inside of the plasma. None of you have broken into the energy inside the neutron. This is the first time. So we have reached the pinnacle of the knowledge of universe. We are there, and from now on, whatever we do decides the future of mankind in space. Because now you have access to the universal fuel. I have shown you how to make it. And my wish is that the knowledge will be used for peace on this planet. Because this knowledge is a million times much stronger than any knowledge man has ever carried. Because now the way universe is created through the neutron, to the essence, the origin, the principle, the way the universal course of creation subdivides itself. And in so many ways, if those of you who understand and understood the teaching of today will have one course, and that is find the true essence of creation. I have shown you how, I explained it how, and I think some of the children of the man are ready to take into space. But you have to understand, transmutation of elements is nothing if you understand the power within the neutron, which is the transmutation of the creator. And one day, man will understand. This process will start a new move for those who understand, and some of you don't understand. It's just another, it doesn't matter if it's a donkey or a jumbo jet. I'm walking. Thank you very much for today, and hopefully we see each other soon, and the path which I see some of you understood and some of you will take in the coming weeks and months will bring man into the space. And once you understand this, there is no choice left for me but to introduce man to universal community. So the faster we mature, the sooner we interact. Thank you very much for today, and maybe in 4 weeks' time we'll have a better view of the universe. And thank you very much for all the work, especially John and his team, the Chinese team and other team who are working. Gradually you are reaching the point of interaction and completion. But most probably what we have from today will give us a new energy source. And in so many ways I try to divert man from war, and the only way it is to show such a huge technology development that makes everything literally obsolete. And we are in that voyage today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much. I know you have to leave now, so we have to cut things a little bit short. But maybe definitely given us so much to think about and to work on here. Sorry?
Yeah, Mr. Keshe, maybe we allow now Giovanni to take another 30 minutes to present something.
maybe Mr. Keshe would want to be there for that, though. I don't know.
No, he will not be with us. I know that, but he forgot probably about that part. Yeah.
Are you still there, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, I don't understand.
If we may let Giovanni now to take 30 minutes while you're away.
What are we talking about in 30 minutes? Is it regarding the products from
Yes.
Italy?
Yes.
I prefer to be there to correct, because if you walk slightly the wrong way, they can, especially in Italy, in the sensitive position we are, can be detrimental to our work.
Okay.
I know next week I'll be here and we can do it, and I know Giovanni will understand.
This is why I asked. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, because sometimes people use it as a treatment or a change. If you are here, we can correct it. But if it stays on record, then they can abuse it.
Okay, we understand.
Yeah.
Take care.
As you know, we looked at the video just before the presentation and we saw the problems in there.
Right,
yeah.
Yes. It's best that you check everything first. Yes.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We'll see you later. Yes. Okay, well, that's quite a full workshop, I think, and there's a lot to ponder there for people to understand, so we can continue to work with that in various individuals and groups and experimenters, and this seems to be a new phase that's coming in. So thanks to everybody for attending today. It's the 228th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, June 14th, 2018. And I think Flint has a video for us to go out on. And we'll see you all for the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace on Tuesday coming up, as well as next week's workshop. Okay, thank you, and goodbye for now.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products now available at store.keshefoundation.org. Plasma liquid hand soap, antiseptic, moisturizing for well-being. One Soul Plasma T-shirt, balanced chakras with ancient and plasma technology. Visit store.keshefoundation.org for these and other plasma products.
The process of understanding is very simple. The process is, as I explained last time, I explained more in detail. We are created out of the rays within the center of the universe. In interaction and reduction in strength and division by the strength in certain strength fields, in collection of the totality of the expansion of the universe, some energies, some dynamic fields have come together. Over billions of years, these fields lead to the creation of what we call the sun. Where the plasma gathers together. The same process repeats again because the sun is the same as the energy center of the universe. Now, the heavier, the larger amount of the energy which is collected in this span of the universe, called the sun, that irradiates out, does the same thing again. Radiates its fields out, and in interaction with the itself, with the fields of itself, leads to creation of planet. In that process of the creation of planet, the same process happens again. In the interaction of the fields of the earth with its environment and cooling and exchange with the strength of the other things in the environment of the space of the solar system, leads to creation of man, cell, matter state. And that itself, in coming together and slowing down in certain ways, as we call, leads to another sun. We call the soul of the man. This is the truth about the life and creation of the man. But if the soul of the man can understand and absorb and be correct with his conduct, he can become the strength of the fields and carry the strength of the field of the planet which came to his creation. And if the soul can understand with the same process, can interact, can be correct, can absorb with itself the totality of the strength of what it needs, it shall become the sun. And then the same soul has the energy that it can absorb within the solar system, within the galaxy, shall become the center of the universe. Earth, we call it the rain, come from and goes back to. In the solar system, we call it planetary system. We come from the rays, we become the planet, and we go back to the mother. The same thing happens with the galaxies. with the solar systems, which they get absorbed back in and they chewed up back into the universe. The life, the process of existence in the universe is the same. It doesn't matter on what exchange and what extent. So, what is the man fighting for? Why do we fight for something which has come from the point of the creation, and in the process it goes back to the creation? The soul of the man, as the energy of the earth, gives the face of the man, the face of the earth, and that process is the same for the soul of the man. Our soul, in reduction in strength, in interaction with the emotion of the field of the environment, leads to manifestation of the existence of the man. But once it's completed, does it need the face? Or can it be and becomes free from it, what we call the soul of the man, to be free and detached from its existence? Our soul is part of the process of the creation. The key to one question, who man shall be in the future, to be answered. As we saw the sun became the earth, and as we saw the earth became man's soul, what will be the destiny of the soul of the man now becomes free at the point of departure from physicality? Would it become the sun for creation of another life, or many lives, or correction of lives? This shall be, and this is how it happens. When you create a soul which is not correct, which is misconduct by itself cannot give, you lead to the creation of this next cycle of creation, which has started the wrong way, the wrong strength. This is one thing the man has never understood. You become the creator of another universe, another cycle. And this is what you have to judge within the structure of the soul of the man. What would I like that cycle to be? In the physical life, we create children. In the dimension of the life of the soul of the man, what that man, what that soul will create. If man has thought up to now, that's it, my end, my point, when I die is finished, there's as much fallacy that when the sun is destroyed in any shape or form, there shall be nothing left. But we know the part of the sun becomes part of the galaxy and becomes part of new life. So shall be the soul of the man. The judgment of the man has to be according to what he sees the future his soul can conduct to be. The day of judgment is for the man, not in front of the Creator. That what my soul judges to be and what shall create. Man never understood and shall never understand till can solve this dilemma within itself. The reality is very, very, very real. And that is, as we've seen, the energy of the galaxy become the sun, the energy of the sun has become the earth, and the energy of the earth has become the soul of the man. So shall be the soul of the man, which is the energy itself,
another cycle of life. How can you change when you don't understand? How can you change the process of understanding if you do not understand the process of the creation? Do we need to extend the understanding of the man that what is the future he brings? We care about our children, what education they get, what they wear, how happy they'll be, where they sleep. Now the man has to be careful and consider, what life shall my soul create? Because those are the children of your soul. As we see, the rays of the sun has become a planet and 7 million children on it. 7 billion unlimited, which is growing. So the soul of the man will go through the same process. How many billions and subdivisions and sub-matter state of the physicality of the man your soul shall create? Would it be the soul of wars and conflict and forever killing? Or would it be the soul of this, let's say, solar system, which is peaceful? This is the truth and the reality about the soul of the man. First of all, as I said many times recently, we never understood that the soul of the man is within the structure of the man. And now that we understood, we understand on departure from the physicality of the man, the same process will carry on as it did for a star, a planet. And the soul of the man becomes another energy source, a higher order, which itself leads to the creation. It becomes the star, it becomes the center of the new cycle of creation. This is what the human race has to understand. The cycle actually starts from the point of death and not finishes at the point of death. In so many ways, if one understands, is as the dusts, specks of dust came together to make the earth in the solar system, so has the specks of the atoms has come to be the creator of the man. And the essence of the creation of the specks of dust on the solar system has led to the creation of the man. So shall be the fields from the soul of the man which lead to creation of another cycle of life. What kind of life man would like to have to be created by his soul? This is the day of judgment. This is what man never understood. Now you have to understand. You have no choice. Up to today you were not aware of it. From today you are aware of it. You are responsible for it. Your conduct has to be to elevate your soul. That in elevating the soul, what you become the creator of stands correct in the conduct of the citizens. We don't give fairy tale. This is the truth. But as you've seen, the process does not stop with one sun. The cycle carries on. It's very interesting in how humanity now knows in fact to handle the fact. It'll take decades for man to understand, and then you understand those who become the tools of war, the tools of conflict. They have nothing to start with. They have to become the dust in the solar systems of the others till the day they learn more. As they cannot create a new cycle through their own soul. This is the elevation of the soul of the man. To be part of the creation of a beautiful life for the next cycle. When you don't have it, you have to become another cell in the body of the structure of the bigger, for you to be just there that you can done when you could have been the soul of the man. They say, do not create fear.
I give you the point of love for creation. If you cared about your children on this planet to have the best, your true children come out of your own soul in the coming time. How would you like to educate them? How would you like to be when you are in conflict with yourself and the cause of so much mayhem? This is the truth, and the man will take a long time to understand, as now that we understand the soul of the man is an operator for the creation of the future extent of the life of the man. Whatever is gathered by the soul at the end becomes his point of reference of his own creation, of his own dimension. But the strangest thing is, what he creates from his soul shall become the creator of the other souls. This is the beauty about the creation, and one understands it, understands no limitation.